Welcome to the Sophia Speaks podcast. This is where I, Sophia, a real woman, speak to real women and some men about issues that matter to real women. Sometimes our conversation will be heavy. Sometimes they'll be light, but they are always informative and will always make you think. If you have a comment or want to ask a question, call 786-749-TALK. That's 786-749-8255. Now, without further ado, let's talk about it. Welcome to the very first episode of the Sophia Speaks podcast, formerly known as the Courageous Coaching Podcast. But I am so glad that you are here. Whatever the name of the podcast is, I'm glad that you are here. I have missed you guys so much, and it's good to be back. It's good to be in my mini studio recording, getting a firm footing on where I think I'm supposed to be, or at least it's where I'm supposed to be for right now. So I'm happy. So how have you guys been? How have you been? I hope all is well. Please make sure you leave me a message, leave me a comment, do something to let me know you're out there and that you're listening and, you know, that you're benefiting from these episodes, that you're learning something, anything. Tell me something totally random. I just want to hear from you because I just like hearing from my audience. So that part is amazing. I'm just so glad to be back. I'm glad. I hope you all are well. You're all are well. That's not good grammar, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? So, as you've probably seen, the cover has changed. As you probably heard, the intro has changed. And all those things served me well in the beginning. But it's a new day. It is a new era. New things are happening. And I'm just glad that I am able to roll with the punches. As you can see, my last episode was a little bit ago. It was back in August to be exact, and we're now in mid-September. So it took me a little while to get my footing because I knew stuff was changing, but I didn't have a grasp on what exactly was changing, you know? So it takes a little while sometimes to catch up with what already is. So I just want to say I am back, and I have a lot of stuff to tell you. I have a lot of things that have changed, and let's get started. So again, the show has been revamped. There's some changes. Of course, you noticed the intro and you noticed the name. Also, the episodes are going to be changing. So you're like, Sophia, what do you mean by that? It means that the things I talk about, I feel like initially I was a little bit superficial, or it's just where I was at the time. It was where I was to be able to learn how to do this podcast thing right. And I am by no means saying that I have arrived. I am not the podcast queen. I am not the podcast goddess, but I do know a little bit more than I did when I first started. So I think all podcasters and all live streamers and everybody who's doing anything, they go through this phase of where they're in the beginning and then they learn a little bit and things have to change and they have to just walk into that. They have to step into that. And if you don't, you hold yourself back. And I think that's where my absence came from. So I initially named the podcast to go along with my coaching practice. So the Courageous Coaching Podcast, because I am a courageous coach. I help women, you know, do things that they probably normally wouldn't do, or that they're afraid to do, or I help them find themselves or admit things to themselves that they didn't want to say out loud, but they inwardly knew. So all of that takes courage. So that's where the initial name came from. Again, with this grammar. But that's where the initial name came from. So now I still do that because I still coach women. I still, you know, work with women and help them go on journeys of self-discovery, you know, find out who they are, who they thought they were. Sort of like how this podcast evolved. I started off one way and I realized that's not the way to go. And now I am doing something different because that's what life calls for. So on my podcast, though, I'm doing more talking about issues than actual coaching. So the name didn't fit. The name just didn't fit. So like, an animal that molts, I had to shed that skin and come back with something different. And a lot of this, I have notes, guys, in front of me, but a lot of this is just coming off the fly because it's totally different when I am picturing I'm talking to you than when I am sitting alone just jotting down my notes. So a lot of this is on the fly. So that's probably where those grammatical errors are coming from. But anyway, that was one reason. And the other reason is I felt I was being too superficial and stayed on the surface or completely away from a lot of topics that do touch me and that they're near and dear to my heart. And while I'm not afraid to broach any topic, as you'll see in my next episode, I just wasn't tackling them. And I've come to realize that having no stance is like, it seems like it's being afraid of talking about it, but that's the way we learn. That's the way we learn from each other. So to make this transition, this is a transitional episode. To make the transition, I needed to do this. So I needed to come explain because I am a big proponent of closure if it makes sense. So in every situation, closure doesn't make sense. Whatever it is sometimes needs to be cut off right there and then, and you just move on. But some things you need to understand why the changes happen. So this is one of those things. In the changes, in making the change, in taking the curve, because when you're driving or you're cycling or doing anything, when you take the curve, you do it differently than when you're driving down a straightway. So I have to make the disclaimer that I have no desire to be deliberately controversial or provocative, but I do feel it necessary to speak on many topics that affect me, my family, my culture, my community. And again, by not doing so, it just makes it seem like I am just middle of the road or I don't have an opinion when nothing is further than the truth. I have opinions, I have feelings, and not just about, surface level topics, about a lot of things that are going on today. And I feel that in order for some people to get an understanding, I need to broach those topics, right? So where we go from here is kind of tricky. So it's important to know I'm sharing my personal experiences and the interpretation thereof. My guests will do the same. So a lot of times in the past, I had a lot of interview guests, and I'll still have interview guests, but I'll also, just talk about a lot of stuff that's just me. There'll be a lot more episodes just me to get to know me and to get to know my coaching style and where all of my beliefs come from. But I also do reserve the right to change my mind. That's part of growing. If you learn something and then you're just in that, you're not growing. And you're not allowing yourself or the people around you to get to know the real you, because you're just here in this one thing and you're taking whatever situation it is in this one context, and that's it. And that's not fair to you or those who encounter you. So I've learned things and then I've had experiences, and it may have changed my beliefs, but I'm still the same person. So I'm learning and I'm growing every single day. And I welcome anybody with new experiences and new perspectives to always, give me an opinion or give me your take on the situation. What is your perception? So we can all learn, grow, and understand. That's the name of the game, right? That's life. So it's, again, important to note that my future episodes are not meant to be offensive. There's no need to get defensive. Just listen with the intent to learn. That's all I ask. Listen with the intent to learn. You're welcome to call in. You're welcome to write in if you have something to add. But it's important to note that I'm only going to entertain things that, be it calls or be it written correspondence, that are sent respectfully. because I deal with everybody, or I at least try to deal with everybody in a respectful manner. And that's all I want to, get in return. Will it always be? No, I know it won't, but I have a very strong block finger and I have a very strong delete finger, and it takes a lot to get under my skin. Again, my episodes now and going forward, and as it's always been, I guess I've never voiced it, but as it's always been, it has the intent to help people learn, help women learn, help them understand, help them move forward through whatever it is they've experienced. And I just want to do it in a loving manner. Will it always come across that way? No. Will it always be taken that way? No. I know that. But if you have a question or if you disagree with me, disagreement is welcome. That's how we learn. Disagreement is welcome, but respectful disagreement is cherished. Respectfully disagree with me. Tell me your point of view so I can learn, because maybe there's something I've missed. Again, I'm speaking from my experience. My guest is will be speaking from their experiences. And if you have a different experience, let's talk about it and kind of mesh them together so we can all know. And then if we go forward and we meet somebody else with that experience, we'll know how to deal with it in a better way, as opposed to being defensive and offensive. And I'm not here for the frou-frou to say, I don't know if frou-frou is a word, but I'm not here for that. Be like, oh, everything is love and joy. Because sometimes we're just going to have to walk away from the conversation, agreeing to disagree, but still respecting each other. That's what I want. So I just want to make sure we understand that. I love correspondence. I don't feel I get enough correspondence or get enough calls. So I am inviting you, please, even if it's a disagreement, call me, talk to me, come on the show. It's open to everybody. So it's not just about people who are controversial. It's not just about people who agree with me. It's about anybody, so we can have a conversation so we can better understand each other, right? So, and that's only fair. So I look forward to the new shows. I hope you're looking forward to the new shows as well. Let me know what you think about the intro. I'm actually recording it myself. And I'm doing everything myself, which I've outsourced it. The new cover, tell me what you think about the cover. Let's see. There's opportunity to add your opinion going forward. So what I've done is developed a web page that you can go there, enter your email address, and each time I come up with topics for the show and I need feedback, I'm going to send out an email. So you can respond to that email or to that survey with you answering all of them, all of the little topics, or you can just answer the one that you feel like you have knowledge on. And I can shout you out because say, hey, this is something that Nancy contributed to. This is Nancy's take on it. So what do you guys think? And we can have follow-up shows about that. I can have you on as guests. Or if you just want to write in and say, hey, this is an anonymous, this is anonymous input on this particular topic. What do you guys think? I want to make it more user-friendly, more listener-friendly, and I want more of your input as opposed to it being just me. So I'm not wasting any time. The next episode is going to be a doozy. So I hope you guys like it. Put your input on it. And it's not just going to be me. It's me and a few other ladies. So you'll be able to see all of that on the podcast page. So if you don't already know what my website is, it's www.sophiaantoine.com. So you go there. You can listen to all of my old episodes as well as my new episodes. You'll be able to see the progression and the change in the particular podcast itself. And if at all you can, it will be greatly appreciated. Donate to the show. I have a Patreon up, bit.ly. It all helps. You can do that there. And if you want to put in your email address, subscribe to the surveys that come out. I'm not going to put them out any more than I think once a week. I think that's enough. And that'll probably be a bit much. So maybe once every couple weeks, I'll send out that survey email because I can only do so many shows and put so many out. Right now, they come out only on Wednesday. And if I get increased feedback, I'll record more. I am definitely not opposed to recording more. I'd like to put out an episode every day of the week. If I have enough input, if I have enough interviews, if I have enough stuff, definitely I'll come out with more. So it's all gauged on your interaction. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I am looking forward to the new setup, and I hope we enjoy it. And until we go ahead and evolve again, this is it. This is absolutely it. So again, let me give you the 2 links. So if you want to add your answers, and I know I'm just belaboring this, but if you want to add your answers, go to bit.ly, I need answers. bit.ly/I need answers. I, meaning me, need your answers to go forward with those episodes. Cool? So if you'd like to donate, and if you're listening on Anchor, you can donate directly through Anchor. But anybody else, you can go to my link for Patreon, bit.ly/it all helps. And if you go to my podcast page on my website, you'll see links directly to the Patreon. So again, I hope you enjoy everything that's new. And if you don't enjoy it, tell me too. And I'm not opposed to making more changes in the future. So my old format lasted about 4 to 6 months. 4 to 6 months. So this may last about 4 to 6 months, 4 to 6 weeks. Who knows? I am not opposed to change, and neither should you. So I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to Sophia Speak. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Sophia Speaks podcast. We've had the conversation. You have the information. The question is, what are you going to do with it? See you in the next episode.